That Saturday morning started like any other day in my 27-year marriage. I was standing outside in my bathrobe, holding the garden hose, watching the water spray across the lawn. The sun had just started climbing over the rooftops, and I could hear the coffee maker gurgling inside the kitchen. Everything felt normal, routine, safe. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, and there it was, a Facebook notification. My wife Jennifer had posted a photo from her business trip to Chicago. I opened it without thinking much of it. The image loaded slowly, and when it finally appeared on my screen, my stomach dropped like I had been punched. Jennifer was leaning into some guy named Derek from her office, both of them holding cocktails, grinning like they had just won the lottery. His arm was wrapped tight around her shoulders, and her hand was resting on his chest. But what really got me was the caption underneath. My real partner, #workhusbandforlife, followed by 3 heart emojis, 57 likes, 16 comments, all of them disgusting. I stood there staring at my phone, reading it over and over. The first time through, I actually laughed. It was one of those empty laughs that dies before it even leaves your throat, the kind your body makes when it doesn't know what else to do. I did not call her. I did not send an angry text. I did not yell at my screen. Instead, I walked back into the house, poured myself another cup of coffee, opened the kitchen drawer, and pulled out the manila folder I had been preparing for the last 3 weeks. You might be wondering why I already had a folder ready to go. Well, 3 weeks earlier, I had overheard Jennifer on the phone late one night. She was in the laundry room, whispering like a teenager sneaking a call past her parents. I heard her say to someone, "You looked so good today in that gray shirt. Stop it. I was blushing all through that meeting. Imagine if we did not have to sneak around." That was the moment I knew something was deeply wrong. The next morning, I called my attorney, a guy named Richard who I had known since college. "Richard," I said to him, "I need to start preparing some documents, quietly." He said back to me, "Start gathering everything. Emails, bank statements, insurance forms. When it hits, you need to move fast and do not engage emotionally." So that is exactly what I did. For 3 weeks, I collected every piece of evidence I could find. I organized it all into that manila folder: petition, financial disclosures, property division worksheets. And now, standing in my kitchen with that folder in my hands, I opened Facebook again. Jennifer's post was still there, still collecting likes and comments. I typed out a response directly underneath her photo. "Congratulations, the divorce papers are on the kitchen table." Then I hit post, logged out, and walked back outside to finish watering the lawn. The sprinkler kept hissing like nothing had changed, but everything had. Jennifer called me that evening, right on schedule. I knew she would. One of her friends must have texted her about my comment. Her voice came through the phone way too cheerful, that fake upbeat tone people use when they're trying to sound innocent but they know they're already caught. "Hey, babe," she said, stretching the word out like honey. "I saw your little comment. You're not actually mad, are you? It was just a joke. Everyone at the office does that work husband, work wife thing. It is just for laughs." I did not interrupt. I let her keep talking, let her fill up the silence with nervous giggles and weak justifications. It's amazing how much rope people will give themselves when they do not realize they are tying their own noose. "You seriously took it the wrong way," she said, continuing her performance. "It's just Derek. You know how he is. He's harmless. God, you're being so dramatic." When she finally stopped talking long enough to take a breath, I only said 3 words. "Check the kitchen," I said. There was dead silence for about 2 seconds. Then she started laughing again. "Oh my God," she said. "You were joking. You're joking, right? You didn't actually—" I did not reply. She kept laughing, but now it sounded thinner, more fragile. "You are such a dork sometimes," she said, trying to sound confident. "Seriously, this is overreacting. It's a dumb caption. I didn't mean anything by it." I just hung up. Monday morning arrived, and I was sitting at my laptop with a burner email account I had set up years ago for online shopping. I opened it up and composed a new message. The subject line read, "Inappropriate conduct during company event." I attached the screenshot of Jennifer's Facebook post, making sure the timestamp and location data were clearly visible. Then I wrote a brief, professional message. "I am not sure what your internal policies are," I typed, "but this photo appears to have been taken during company time at a company-sponsored event. It seems to involve an employee in a supervisory role making public claims about a romantic relationship with a subordinate. I will leave the interpretation to you." I did not sign it. I did not need to. I hit send and closed the laptop. No drama, no theatrics, just a simple click that set everything in motion. Now, I should explain something. Jennifer had mentioned more than once, usually while drinking wine and bragging about her perfect compliance record, that her company had a zero-tolerance policy on undisclosed office relationships, especially when there was a power dynamic involved. And Derek? He had just been promoted last year. Jennifer had trained him. She was on the promotion panel that approved his advancement. So when you publicly declare your real partner is the guy you were supervising, and you do it while drinking champagne on a trip the company paid for, you are not just breaking rules, you are handing your termination letter to Human Resources on a silver platter. By noon that Monday, Jennifer's Facebook post had disappeared. By 3 in the afternoon, I got a text from my buddy Trevor, who worked in the same building. "Bro," he said, "Human Resources just opened a case." That was all I needed to hear. That night, while Jennifer was probably sitting in her hotel room trying to figure out what was happening, I sat down with a legal pad, a glass of whiskey, and the checklist I had been building since that night I heard her on the phone. First item on the list, transfer my 401k retirement account into a separate trust. Already done. Richard had walked me through it over lunch a few days earlier. The trust was airtight. No marital claims, no loopholes. She would not touch a single dollar. Second item, change the beneficiary on my life insurance policy. It used to be Jennifer. Now it was my sister Emily. She is practical, no nonsense, and she already raised 2 kids on her own after her divorce. She would not cry over paperwork. She would just sign it, file it, and move on. Third item, bank accounts. We used to have joint everything. Jennifer's idea. She called it sharing our lives together. I called it naive. Now I had different passwords, different banks, different zip codes. I left just enough money in the joint account to cover utilities and the mortgage for 30 days. Let her wonder why the streaming services suddenly stopped working. Fourth item, credit cards. 2 were in my name, with her listed as an authorized user. Not anymore. 1 phone call, done. She would try to swipe her card at the airport bar when she flew home and get declined. Fifth item, gym membership, car insurance, phone plan, all separated. It was not spite, it was strategy. Every form I signed, every account I updated, it was another support beam being pulled out from under her. And the best part? She had no idea yet. Trevor called me the next afternoon. I was in the garage, organizing a drawer that had not been touched in years. Old screwdrivers, dead batteries, random screws that belonged to furniture we probably threw out a decade ago. It was the kind of task you do when your mind needs something simple to focus on. "Hey man," Trevor said, his voice low like he was calling from inside a closet. "I need to tell you something. She was not just flirting with him down there." I leaned against the workbench and said nothing. I let him talk. "They were acting like a couple," he said. Same hotel room, same breakfast table, same seat on the shuttle bus every morning. Everyone saw it. I did not want to assume the worst, but come on, man. I only asked one question. "Does her boss know?" I said. Trevor paused for a second. "He does now," he said. "Word got back to him this morning. He looked like someone just told him his entire department was under investigation. He said he had no idea she was sleeping with someone she evaluates." There it was, the final piece. Not just cheating, not just public humiliation, but professional betrayal. Jennifer did not just destroy our marriage, she lit her career on fire and handed the match to her own boss. Trevor kept talking. "She has got a formal human resources meeting scheduled for tomorrow," he said. "They already pulled the post from a company device, which makes it even worse. And your comment, dude, it is circulating around the whole office." I laughed for the first time in days. We hung up. 10 minutes later, Trevor texted me again. He sent a screenshot. It was Jennifer's work email inbox. The top message had a subject line that read, "Human Resources Compliance Inquiry Urgent from the Corporate Ethics Team." The timestamp said 12:03 in the afternoon. The email started with cold corporate language. "We have become aware of recent content shared online that may constitute a breach of professional standards during a company-sponsored event. Please respond immediately to schedule a meeting." Translation? They were coming for her badge. She had not even landed back home yet. By the time she stepped off that plane, she would not just be walking into a broken marriage, she would be walking into the wreckage of her entire life. And I did not lift a finger. I just told the truth and let her own actions do the screaming. Jennifer came back a day early. I knew she would. People only delay coming home when there is comfort waiting for them. When there's nothing but dread on the other end, they show up early, hoping that being physically present will somehow fix what time cannot. I was sitting on the front porch when the rideshare pulled up. She got out wearing those ridiculous oversized sunglasses that celebrities wear when they are trying to hide, dragging her suitcase behind her like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She was already on her phone, mid-sentence with someone. "I just think we should talk in person," she said into the phone. And then she looked up and saw me sitting there. She walked up to the front door and tried her key. It did not work. She tried again, jiggled the lock, knocked twice like that would somehow help. I stayed in my chair, sipping a glass of water with lemon, watching her like I was watching the weather change. "The locks have been changed," I said flatly. She spun around. "What?" she said, her voice rising. "Are you serious right now? You changed the locks?" I said, "No, I changed the life." She opened her mouth, probably ready to launch into some rehearsed speech about forgiveness and misunderstandings, but I was already walking past her toward my truck. I paused just long enough to say, "The guest room is open. Paperwork is on the bed. Everything is detailed." Jennifer stormed in through the side gate, dragging her suitcase behind her like a soldier retreating from a battlefield. I watched through my truck mirror as she entered through the back door. She was already opening doors, probably expecting to see her clothes hanging in the main bedroom closet. She did not find them. The main bedroom had been cleaned out. Her stuff was boxed up, labeled, and moved to the guest room closet. Her favorite blanket, the one she used to steal from my side of the bed every night, was gone. I donated it. Not out of anger, just for my own peace of mind. On the guest bed, centered perfectly, sat the manila folder again. But this time, it was not just a petition. This time, it was a detailed spreadsheet. One column showed my assets. The second column showed hers. The third column showed the final division, calculated, signed, notarized, and already filed with the court. She did not scream right away. She just stood there, frozen, staring at the papers. Her hands were trembling, her mouth was slightly open, like her brain was trying to process what was happening but could not keep up. The house she left 4 days ago did not exist anymore. This house was mine. Every drawer, every lock, every memory had been sorted and reorganized. She came home expecting a fight. What she got was cold, hard logistics. Tuesday morning, Jennifer got dressed like it was any other workday. Cream-colored blouse, navy pants, sensible heels, and the necklace I bought her for our 20th anniversary. Probably an accident, or maybe some subconscious attempt to hold on to something stable. She left without breakfast, without saying a word to me. Just the faint sound of the guest room door clicking shut and her suitcase wheels bumping down the porch steps. She thought she was heading into a regular planning meeting. The calendar invite said Strategic Growth Alignment, 9:30 in the morning, Conference Room B. Vague and corporate, just like every other meeting. She arrived 5 minutes early, like always. Clipboard in hand, pen ready, her usual tight smile on her face. She walked in expecting coffee, a projector, maybe some small talk about the weekend. Instead, she saw 3 chairs. One was already occupied by her department head, Franklin, who looked stiff and pale. One was occupied by Carla from Human Resources, whose face was completely unreadable. The third was occupied by a woman Jennifer did not recognize, wearing a tailored black blazer and holding a closed folder. Jennifer hesitated in the doorway. "Am I early?" she asked. Carla just gestured toward the empty seat. "Please sit," she said. Jennifer sat down, crossed her legs, smoothed her skirt, and kept that brittle smile on her face. Then the folder opened. On top of the stack was a printed screenshot of Jennifer's Facebook post. Below it were time-stamped messages between her and Derek. Further down were high-resolution photos taken during the Chicago conference. 2 of them were clearly taken off-site, one at a rooftop bar, another inside what was unmistakably a hotel room. Both showed them in company attire, and both were time-stamped during working hours. Franklin cleared his throat. "Jennifer," he said, "we have reviewed some material that was brought to our attention." Her mouth opened slightly. I could almost hear her heart beating from across town. "This was a private joke," she whispered. "Derek and I, we were just close friends." The legal representative tilted her head slightly. "Your messages suggest otherwise," she said. "And under the company's code of conduct, any romantic relationship with a subordinate must be formally disclosed, especially when supervisory dynamics are involved." Jennifer looked at Franklin like he might save her. "You knew we were close," she said. "We worked well together." Franklin snapped back at her, his voice cracking under the pressure. "I did not know you were sleeping with him," he said, "and I did not know you were doing it on a company trip we paid for." Jennifer's face drained of all color. Her hands gripped the arms of the chair like the room was tilting sideways. Carla's voice was clinical and detached. "This meeting is part of an internal compliance review," she said. "Until it concludes, your access will be suspended and your duties will be reassigned." Then Jennifer asked the question in a whisper. "Are you terminating me?" The attorney did not answer right away. She just stacked the documents neatly and slid them back into the folder. "For now," she said, "we're conducting a full review of the incident. You will be contacted with next steps." Jennifer did not move. She did not argue. She did not cry. She just sat there in silence, the look on her face like someone who finally realized the joke was never funny. By noon that day, Jennifer's name had disappeared from the company directory. Trevor sent me another message, just one word: locked. Her work email was disabled. Her laptop access was revoked. Her building key card was deactivated. The system moved fast once human resources sank its teeth in. Jennifer had spent years climbing that corporate ladder, polishing her reputation like a trophy on a shelf. But all it took was one caption, one drunken night with a subordinate, and a husband who knew exactly where to aim. She did not drive home calmly. She raced. Trevor said she left the building pale as a ghost, stormed straight to her car, and did not say goodbye to a single person. She did not even look back at the reception desk, where she used to pause and compliment people on their jewelry, playing the part of the beloved senior manager. Now she was radioactive. Everyone saw her leave, and not one person moved to stop her. I heard the tires screech in the driveway before I saw her, the crunch of gravel, the slam of a car door. Then she was inside the house, shouting from the hallway. "Really?" she yelled. "You are going to just ruin my career like that?" I stayed seated in the den, flipping through a gardening magazine like she wasn't even there. She walked into the room, eyes wild, voice pitching higher. "I had one mistake," she said, "one stupid thing, and you go nuclear. You know what they're doing to me now? You think this is fair?" I calmly tapped my phone and played a pre-recorded message I had made an hour earlier. It was short and precise. "Please direct all communication through legal counsel. I will not be responding personally. Any further attempts to initiate contact will be documented." Her jaw dropped. For a second, I thought she might laugh again, but instead her face just collapsed. "You recorded a message?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I did not answer. She tried again. "So this is it? You are really just going to ice me out of my own life?" Still nothing from me. The courtroom was too cold, too bright, and way too quiet. Jennifer sat across from me at the polished oak table, shoulders rigid, lips pressed into a flat line. Her attorney, some overconfident guy from a small firm downtown, flipped through his binder like he was searching for something that was not there. My side of the table was calm and organized. Richard brought 2 folders, a legal pad, and a cup of coffee. That was it. We did not need theatrics. We had documentation. The judge entered, took her seat, and glanced at the stack of papers we had submitted in advance. One eyebrow arched as she read through the summary packet Richard had titled "Timeline of Marital Breach and Asset Contribution." Jennifer's lawyer cleared his throat and began his opening remarks with all the confidence of a man who just realized he was walking into a buzzsaw. "Your Honor," he said, "we believe this matter can be resolved amicably." The judge interrupted him. "The respondent's conduct appears to be the primary source of this dissolution," she said. "Is that accurate?" Jennifer's attorney hesitated. "We would argue that emotional factors," he started to say. The judge turned to Richard. "We have sworn statements from her company's Human Resources Department," Richard said evenly, sliding a folder across the table, "including a termination letter citing ethics violations related to a romantic relationship with a subordinate during a corporate-sponsored event." Jennifer did not even flinch. She was past denial now. This was not the stage for excuses anymore. This was public reckoning, and her reputation was center stage. The judge reviewed the folder, nodded slowly, and then turned to the financial exhibits. Our forensic accountant had laid it all out cleanly. Home equity, 92% from my income. Retirement contributions, all mine. Car payments, in my name. Joint savings, mostly withdrawals from her end for spa trips and hotel upgrades. Jennifer's lawyer tried to pivot. She was a contributing partner in the emotional labor of the marriage, he said. The judge held up a hand. "This is not therapy," she said firmly. "This is asset division, and the documentation provided shows a clear disparity in financial input." Then came the line, cold and surgical. "The respondent's conduct contributed directly to the dissolution. As such, the petitioner's request will be granted in full." Jennifer blinked. That was it. The gavel never even hit the wood. Just a nod, a shuffle of papers, and then the summary. I kept the house, I retained full ownership of the vehicle, 70% of the remaining assets stayed in my name. No alimony, no discussion.
Jennifer sat at the kitchen counter in the guest room, hunched over her laptop, refreshing her inbox like someone pulling a slot machine lever for the 100th time. Refresh. Nothing. Refresh. Spam email. Refresh. There it was. The subject line read, "Regarding your employment status. Sender, James R. Callahan, Chief Executive Officer." Her finger hovered over the trackpad. For a moment, she did not click. Maybe some small part of her still hoped it would say, "Welcome back," or "Let us discuss next steps." Maybe they would offer her a quiet demotion, let her fade out with dignity. But hope dies fast when it is built on nothing. She clicked. "Jennifer," the email began, "after thorough internal review and in light of the public visibility of your conduct during the Chicago conference, including statements made online and corroborated witness accounts, it is the conclusion of our Executive Leadership and Human Resources Division that your continued employment poses a reputational risk to the company. Effective immediately, your position has been terminated. We appreciate your past contributions and wish you the best. James R. Callahan, Chief Executive Officer." No signature, no apology, no transition plan, just corporate execution delivered in 11-point font. Her hand trembled over the trackpad. She read it again, then again. Her mouth opened, but no words came out, just a sound, low, ragged, rising from her throat. She screamed. Not a cry, not a sob, but a full, primal shriek that echoed through the empty hallway and bounced off the walls. I did not flinch. I was in the den. I heard it clearly, but I just closed my laptop, shut it gently, took a breath, grabbed my gardening gloves from the hook by the door, and stepped outside into the sun. The air was still. The roses had bloomed early this year. The grass was soft under my feet. And for the first time in a very, very long time, there was silence. Not emptiness, not loss, just peace. A peace she would never understand. Looking back now, months after everything's settled, I can say this. Trust is not something you give freely just because you have been married for decades. Trust is earned every single day. And the moment someone stops earning it, you owe it to yourself to pay attention. I ignored the signs for too long because I wanted to believe everything was fine. I wanted to believe that 27 years meant something unbreakable. But time does not make a relationship sacred. Actions do. If you are reading this and you are in a situation where something feels off, where your partner is acting distant or secretive, do not ignore it. Do not brush it aside because confrontation feels uncomfortable. Document everything quietly. Talk to a lawyer before you talk to your spouse. Protect yourself financially before emotions take over. I am not saying be paranoid, but I am saying be prepared. The moment I started preparing, I took back control of my life. The biggest lesson I learned is this: justice does not always come with fireworks and dramatic courtroom speeches. Sometimes justice is quiet. It is signing papers. It is changing locks. It is watching someone realize that their actions have consequences, real ones, that cannot be undone with apologies or tears. Jennifer thought she could have it all, a stable marriage at home and an exciting fling at work. She thought she was untouchable because she had climbed the corporate ladder and built a polished reputation. But reputations are fragile, and the higher you climb, the harder you fall. My advice to anyone going through something similar is simple. Do not react emotionally. React strategically. Get your documents in order. Secure your assets. Talk to professionals who know how to navigate these situations. And most importantly, do not let guilt or nostalgia cloud your judgment. The person who betrayed you made their choice,
You do not owe them a second chance just because of history. You owe yourself a future where you are respected and valued. In the end, karma is not some mystical force. It is simply the natural result of people's choices catching up to them. Jennifer made her choices publicly, proudly, without thinking about the consequences, and those consequences came for her swiftly and completely. I did not ruin her life. She did that herself. I just refused to be collateral damage. Today, I live in that same house, but it feels completely different. It is mine now, fully and completely. The garden is thriving, the mortgage is manageable, and every morning when I pour my coffee and step out onto the porch, I do not feel anger or bitterness. I feel free. And that freedom, that peace, is worth more than any apology she could ever give. If you are in a situation where you feel trapped, where you feel like you are losing yourself, I want you to know that there is a way out. It is not easy, and it's not pretty, but it is possible. Take back control, protect yourself, and never let anyone make you feel like you deserve less than honesty and respect, because you do not. None of us do.